When I was in school, there was this course we borrowed from the mechanical engineering department called Thermodynamics and Fluid Mechanics, or more. The fear of that course was the beginning of wisdom. And to make matters worse, the lecturer actually delighted in making it difficult for students to pass the exam. Now, it was commonplace to walk into the exam hall and see matriculation numbers that are 2 to 3 years ahead of you. So, what that meant was that students have had to write these exams multiple times. Now, that fear was so much so that, it infiltrated all of us, making it difficult for us to even understand what was being taught. I was one of them. But it wasn't until a few weeks before the exam, let's say 7 weeks before the exam, I had to ask myself certain questions. And the answers to these questions became the deliverance that I needed, right? It is said that the quality of the questions you ask is the quality of your life. So the first answer was the fact that I had to lead into what I already have in my hands right now. And to the glory of God, I wasn't a dull student. I mean, there are records to show that I've aced many of my courses, right? So I was one of the people that, in quote, was intelligent in school. So to the glory of God, I was that student. But that fear didn't allow me to see that around the course. That's the first answer to the question. The second question was the fact that as if God as that course was it enough to keep students permanently in that school? No. Eventually, even the dullest students, relatively dull students, eventually pass, even though they had to write it over and over again. So the answer to these two questions was what enabled me to blur the line, and that fear was lifted and I could start understanding the course. So to cut a very long story short, I eventually made over 70% in that same course that got me so worked up. What is that situation in your life right now that is bigger in your mind because of what people said about it? What challenge have got you thinking that you're no longer good enough? Listen, don't allow people to project their fears on you. I want you to lean into what you already have in your hands right now, just like I did. Your talent, your abilities, the resources that you have. You see, fear has a way of making you blow all that. Now, God is not, a man that he should lie, right? In case you're thinking that you don't have anything in your hands right now. Remember the creation story. When God created us, he told us to be fruitful and multiply. So what that means is that he has planted already a seed of greatness inside of us. So there's nobody without some talents and abilities. Trust me, you do have. Even if you think you don't have, you have some resources, you have friends, you have family members. And I know right now you think or you think that you don't want to go to them, but I want you to lean into that. That's the first one. The second thing is that I want you to remember 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, that said, there's no challenge such as uncommon to man, but God is able and will get you out of that situation. So what I'm trying to say is that there's no situation that you're facing right now someone else have not faced and come out, victoriously, and you can as well. All you need to do is to believe, right? Believe in the truth instead of the lie. You see, faith and fear have one thing in common. They ask you to believe in something that you do not see. But faith is empowering. Fear is paralyzing. So which one would you lean into? Would you lean into fear or would you lean into faith? Let these two questions build your faith so that you can begin to look beyond what is right in front of you and look inwards, and you can see how everything will begin to make sense. Just like I started understanding the course when I answered these two questions. All right. I know it's not going to be easy, but trust me, you're going to be all right. Okay? One. Bye bye.